evening and welcome to All About Sport, live from the Top of the Town studios in Conley Street, Cavan. This week, All About Sport got themselves down to Virginia Rugby Club, who were celebrating their 30th anniversary. And I got to meet some very special guests on the day. Willie John McBride, Irish and Lions rugby legend, who first opened the club in 1982, and also Irish international rugby star Tommy Bowe, and lots of new up-and-coming stars for the future. I am joined by rugby legend Willie John McBride. Willie John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here in Cavan TV. Thank you very much.
Delighted to be here.
You were here back in 1982 to open the Virginia rugby grounds. I mean, and amazing that you're here 30 years later. They're delighted. It's an honour. What do you think's changed in the club over the years?
Well, first of all, it really is frightening that 30 years have gone since 1982. But I come down here, and one of the things that struck me immediately was the enthusiasm and the welcome that I've received here this afternoon. And one of the great things about rugby and about this club is it sort of epitomises what rugby really is all about, and that's about young people. It's about family. It's about community, and I think that it's the real reason why we play rugby. And I suppose a lot of games could say the same thing, and certainly I believe that Virginia's got it right. It's brilliant the way that over the 30 years, the way that they have carried on since we opened this ground, the numbers of people who have come through, the fun they've had, the families who have been involved, and indeed what it has given to the community. And it's just a delight to be associated with it. Yeah. I remember that night when I came down, and I was coaching the Ulster team at the time, and we brought the whole Ulster team down here to play in that opening game, and we had one heck of a night. It really was brilliant, and just to see that enthusiasm has just carried on from then. It's just great. I think in today's professional world of sport, sometimes I wonder, have we forgotten what sport is all about? And I think this just epitomises what sport is all about. It's just magic to be part of it.
What is your, you're an Irish rugby legend and a Lions legend, but what's your, I suppose, greatest memory in your career?
Well, one of the greatest things you can do is play for your country, obviously, and I have wonderful memories of playing. It's actually 50 years this year since I got my first cap. Oh, wow. 1962. So it's a special year. That long ago. It's special that this year as well. But those were great years, and of course to be captain of your country is a great honour. But I suppose the things that stick out in my mind, I was one of the lucky players to be around, particularly with the Lions, and to go to New Zealand and beat New Zealand in a Test series. And we haven't done that in 40 years. We haven't done that since then. And then, of course, to be captain of the Lions, and the Lions, which is 4 countries, and to be captain of a team that consisted of players from the 4 countries, that was something special. And particularly in that era, because we went to South Africa and we won 22 games without defeat, which was, that's something I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
You absolutely should. You mentioned that you've captained the Irish team, if I'm right in saying 11 times.
Oh, I can't remember.
Well, I think, so a great honour. And also, you're were part of one of the most successful Lions teams in history. You captained that team and that side. Tell us a little bit about that tour. There was a lot of, I suppose, animosity between the two teams.
Well, there always is. When you go to the Southern Hemisphere, when you go away from home, and particularly if you go to the Southern Hemisphere, and South Africa and New Zealand in particular, but it's the national game. Yeah. And of course they don't like being beaten. And we were really prepared for them in 1974. And, we had a team that, again, it epitomised all the things that are good in a team. They were guys, they were winners, they worked hard, they built up a great teamwork within themselves. And there was a word maybe that you don't hear so much today. They had great loyalty to each other. And they had great loyalty to me as a captain, and they had great loyalty to the coach and indeed to the game. Yeah. And, it's 40 years in a couple of years' time, and we're going to have another reunion. And we've lost 3 of the players, so, it'll just be a magic day to bring them all together again.
Great to get
and, when I have memories of that, of course, Lions tours in those days was 3.5 months. Wow. We played 22 games on that tour. Without defeat, and there's just something that was special about it. And I know, not only me, but I know all of us who took part in that tour, we'll go to our graves with wonderful memories and great friendships.
Yes. You were known for your policy as such, the all in, one in, if I'm right in saying. Do you think that is go ahead today with the new sin bin?
Well, we didn't have
that policy.
We didn't have sin bins in those days. We had to sort our own problems out, and we didn't have people interfering from the touchline and things like that. And there were some pretty tough guys from the High Veld in South Africa. And, as you say, one in, all in, we had to stand together and take them on and face them down. But we played some great rugby as well. And if they wanted the physical stuff, we were able for that too. So that was one of the magic parts of it as well.
Great. I suppose there's a lot of new up-and-coming Irish rugby players, but who would you admire the most out of these young stars up-and-coming?
Well, there's quite a lot of them that have come through in the professional era, and Ireland over the last number of years have really been tremendous to win Triple Crowns and to win Grand Slams. But, the one guy who stands out one of the things that I look at over the years is durability. Yeah. The guy who's been there, and the guy who's always there, and the guy that will always come in whenever you're in trouble, and the guy who wins and loses games, but mostly wins them and can change games. And I believe that O'Gara has been one of the great stalwarts. Yeah. And of course Brian O'Driscoll as a captain. But O'Gara has been one of those guys too. So I would say those 2 guys, O'Driscoll and O'Gara for me, would be the 2 stalwarts of the Irish team in the last few years.
Great. You're very much involved with the Wooden Spoon charity. Tell us a little bit about that and your involvement, Willie John.
Yeah, well, I got involved with this. It's really a rugby associated charity, and it sort of tries to make life better for mentally and physically handicapped and disadvantaged children. And when I look back over my years, we had a lot of fun. We were blessed with some abilities and being able to play a sport and travel the world. And when I think of some of the children that we've helped, they won't have those opportunities. And I think it's a very healthy thing to get involved in a charity like that. And we can't cure these children, but we can make their life a lot better. And I would like to think that what we do in Wooden Spoon is making life a lot better for a lot of kids.
I know they're having an auction here tonight, and you've been extremely generous with donating some of your memorabilia.
Well, we try and do a little, memorabilia is a new word for me. We were in the amateur world. There wasn't a lot of memorabilia from then, but what we can do, we try and do. Yeah. And hopefully they will raise a bit of money here tonight for Wooden Spoon.
Well, please God. Willie John, you're an absolute inspiration to lots of the rugby stars and young and up and coming players. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to All About Sport and Cavan TV. And it's great to meet such a rugby legend. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks very much, Willie John. I am joined here in Virginia Rugby Club by some of their players and also Ulster under 18s squad. So welcome guys, thank you for taking time to talk to us. You might just introduce yourselves.
Seamus Cunningham, Chris Corey and Don Mullen.
So you're all playing now with the under 18s Ulster squad. Tell us, how long have you been involved with the Ulsters?
Oh, we've been about a year or two now.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years
Yeah, 2
since
years this
under
September.
16 development, and we've been brought all the way up through the different stages.
Okay, so this all kind of started, your rugby career as such as started here in Virginia Rugby Club. You know, who would you kind of say has helped you throughout your career?
Oh, everybody, all the coaches we've ever had. You know, we've had so many coaches over the years, from Malik and McNally, my own father, Jamie's father, Don's father. So many coaches over the years were just all brilliant. Great coaches in the club.
How is your, you know, you're starting now this season, the autumn season. You know, how are you hoping to get on in that competition?
Well, obviously we're hoping to win everything.
Yeah. How strong would you say the squad is?
Oh, very strong, very strong. We have a good chance this year, I think. So.
Who's your kind of biggest threat?
Well, sure, Leinster and Munster are always strong, you know, and you can't really rule out Connacht either. Just see what happens on the day, you know, and just try our best.
So this season starts now in September. Has it just started now?
No, we've been working through the whole summer.
Okay.
So it's getting down to the tough stuff now.
It officially starts in 2 weeks.
Okay. So when's your first game?
It's Wednesday, 2 weeks. Wednesday, 3 weeks. Sorry. Wednesday, 3 weeks.
Okay. And who will you be playing in the first round?
Leinster up in Donnybrook.
Leinster, in Donnybrook, right? So they'll have top support. You know, it's been a great event here today. You've got Tommy Bowe and the likes of Willie John McBride. You know, who would you say your greatest inspiration is?
Probably Willie John myself now, or any of the people that have come from the club. Like, you learn a lot from the people around you, the coaches, people that have brought you up like to play rugby. They would be my biggest inspirations anyway.
Yourself, who would you say would inspire you?
Definitely John the Bull Hayes. Always, ever since I was small, you know, just watching him on the telly, you know, I always wanted to be like the Bull, you know, but, you know, and all, especially Malik McNally in the club, he always helped me with different techniques, propping and different bits, just taught me the old style of rugby.
Very good. And yourself?
I don't know, I think one of the person who's most inspirational for me is probably Dennis Hickey, just from watching him when I was small. You know, one of the great Irish players. So yeah, probably Dennis Hickey.
You know, we really hope that you guys go all the way. You know, the next step for you is to make it to the Ireland squad, and I really hope that that happens for you. And best of luck, and thanks for taking the time to talk to All About Sport. Thank you.
Does anyone know Gary Shanley? Where's Gary Shanley? No. Gary! There's a woman here said, oh, McNally! Gary McNally. High tackle there! Has he a head on him at all?
I'm joined by Fergus Lynch, an up-and-coming rugby star. He has joined us here at Virginia RFC. So, Fergus, how are you enjoying today's event?
Great, it's a great turnout. Nice to see a bit of good weather. Hopefully the rain will stay away.
There's a lot of talk about you. You know, you're kind of our Cavan hopeful to make it big in the rugby world. Tell us a little bit about your background in rugby.
I started playing rugby with Virginia when I was about 13 or 14. And then I got selected for Ulster under 18 and then the Irish under 18s. Then I played with the Ulster under 19s and the Ulster under 20s. And now I'm playing with Ballynahinch in County Down.
Okay, so it all started here in Virginia Rugby Club. You know, who would you say your biggest inspiration is in rugby?
Probably Jerry Collins, who plays for New Zealand. He'd probably be my biggest inspiration because he's gone through serious injuries and he's played for over 10 years in Super Rugby. So
are you plagued with many injuries yourself? Or?
Actually, at the moment I've got torn cartilage in my knee, so
Okay.
I have to get a bit of an operation on that. So I'll be
Okay.
out for a while.
Yeah. You were saying that you're playing with a club up in the north. Whereabouts today?
It's beside Lisbon. It's called Ballynahinch Rugby Club. I'm away to England though in September to college, so I'll not be playing with them for much longer.
You'll be taking a bit of a break from it. You got to meet, Tommy Bowe. Would you say you would like to follow in Tommy's footsteps?
Yeah, it'd be great privilege to play for your province and your country, and even the Lions as well. So yeah, I'd love for that. But have to see about this knee.
You have to see. Are you putting lots of training in at the moment?
Not so much at the moment because I'm injured, but before this, be in the gym most days and then training twice a week and games at the weekend. So good bit of training.
Excellent. Have you met Willie John McBride yet?
I haven't met him yet. He's dodging about someplace, but I'll find him soon enough.
A big international star.
Very, very big.
But Fergus Lynch, thank you very much for speaking to us here on All About Sport, and I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll be following your journey over the years, and hopefully you'll make it as a big star in the rugby world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll be back in 2 days.
I'm joined by international star Tommy Bowe. Thank you very much, Tommy. It's a pleasure.
Hi,
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Tommy, it's been a great event here today. You've got a great reception and everyone is delighted to see you here in Cavan. All these young players out here today, how does it feel to be a role model to these young up-and-coming stars?
It's great. I obviously haven't been to Virginia Rugby Club before. I'm not too far down the road. I'm a Monaghan man. And it's great to see, a great turnout. I mean, the amount of kids who are playing mini rugby, great turnout of, past rugby players. And I think there's a President's 15 playing later on as well. So great turnout. I'm happy to be here.
You said you're from Monaghan. How did a Monaghan guy get involved in rugby? As we know, Monaghan's not really a rugby county. No. How did you get involved in rugby?
No, not quite the hotbed of rugby, but my dad was a big into his rugby, and I obviously played a lot of mini rugby at Monaghan Rugby Club. Then I went to school in Armagh, and I went through the kind of different levels from there. But more and more, I think there's ball about to hit me in the head there.
Yeah, you're ready to go for it.
There's more, there's a lot of underage guys, Virginia are really coming through. A lot of their underage players are starting to get into the Ulster setup. Likewise Monaghan, likewise Cavan and Donegal. So it's great to see these different provinces that wouldn't be known for the rugby really starting to perform, and hopefully we'll see a few Ulster and Irish players in the future. Thanks
God. You've been involved. You've have a Grand Slam. You've involved in the Lions Tour and also more recently the Rugby World Cup Tour. What would be your greatest memory? Greatest memory of one of the games? What's your favourite game?
Obviously winning the Grand Slam in 2009 with Ireland was a massive highlight. I think Ireland not have won it in 61 years was it's kind of amazing to think it had been so long. So that was a real highlight for me. But growing up, my dream was always to play for Ireland, and my first cap, run out against the USA and to score on that day was definitely a massive highlight for me.
You've certainly been making a big name for yourself over the last 10 years in rugby, that's for sure. And here comes the rain, typical Cavan weather. But your biggest inspiration in rugby, who would you say that would be?
I obviously looked up to a lot of players. There's like Simon Gagan, who used to play for Ireland back in the day, was my hero. But I suppose from an inspiration point of view, my parents, my dad always drove me very hard. I was a bit of a jack of all trades when I was growing up. I played a bit of everything, and it's I feel very privileged to be playing a sport that I love as a profession.
More recently, you've moved from Ospreys, the club in Wales, back to your province of Ulster. What was your reasons for that move?
I think that I spent 4 years over the Ospreys, a time that I really enjoyed. But the time was probably right to just come back. I obviously left Ulster. They were very good to me when I left. It wasn't really the done thing, but they said that the door would always be open for me. And since coming back, I've really enjoyed it, and really just looking forward to getting back out onto the pitch.
Well, their loss is Ulster's gain. On a different note, I think you're a bit of a whiz in the kitchen. You appeared on the restaurant back in 2010. What would be one of your favourite dishes to cook up?
I think I only got a 2 stars that day, so I don't think I would say a whiz. I think burger and chips will probably be as good as I can cook.
That sounds good. Is that good enough for an international rugby star to be eating?
Yeah, I think so. Well, maybe should just watch who's going to be watching this. But yeah, I suppose we're all out a day off.
You also have some hidden talents, I believe. Any chances of appearing on The Voice of Ireland? Are you thinking of entering any X Factor, anything in the future?
No, I think anybody who's seen those clips will probably agree that that's probably not a talent. I don't think I get through the knockout stages, but
I don't say that.
Everybody enjoys singing after a few pints, I think.
Oh well, you've got a great voice, and I can say that. I do a little bit of judging, so there you go. Maybe I have to have a little sing-song later. So Tommy, your future in rugby, after your rugby career finishes, what would you like to see yourself, do in the future?
That's really the catch-22 really question. I think that obviously the rugby career doesn't last too long. If I can make it into my early 30s and still keep playing, I'd be very happy. But we don't make the kind of soccer money, so it's a case of going out there. I'm going back to study with Hibernia College actually to do an online course this year. And,
in teaching, is it?
No, in management.
Right,
it's through the University of London.
Okay, so businesses.
So hopefully I would like to maybe branch out and try something totally different from rugby and give it a go.
Tommy Bowe, it's been a pleasure and inspiration, and thank you very much. Best of luck with your career.
Cheers,
thank you. All About Sport for this week. I'll be back again at the same time next week on CavanTV.com. I'd like to thank all our guests on the show, Virginia Rugby Club, Tommy Bowe, Willie John McBride. I'll be back again at 7 p.m. But next up is our weekly music show, The Green Room, by Paul Cox. So until next week, it's goodbye from me, Louise O'Reilly.